Okay, I'm just making this little fun video here just to show my panel that I use since I had some interest in it. As you can see, I have a number of different gauges here that I like to have handy, and this one's real handy for knowing your fuel usage and the range that you have left on your fuel. Also has your airspeed and ground speed on here, fuel flow, amount of fuel used. We've got, of course, radios, navigation, got autopilot, got our speakers down here, and got our switches for pitot heat, strobe, lights. Got landing gear and landing gear lights showing when they come up or down. Got trim, got our altimeter, our compass, got our nav GPS switch right here, which is real handy. Vertical speed, flaps, might as well put down some flaps here getting ready to take off. Got a radar altimeter, have our SALS gauge, and I'll show how it works here shortly. Outside air temperature and time, I got flight time, and that's it. So let's take off. See how this sucker works. Put a little trim in. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to put the gear up. Watch the gear handle. Put my flaps back up. And we're off. Okay, if I wanted to set my cruise, losing my voice here this morning, let's set it at 1,500 feet. Turn on the autopilot, altitude. We don't have a flight plan in, so let's just click heading on. Make a little bit of a turn here. You can see our altitude, our radar altimeter. See our flight time. Now this SALS gauge, matter of fact, let's go up to 2,000 feet. There we go. And at 800 feet per minute climb. You can see we're doing 177 knots. Ground speed's about the same. With the gas we have, we can go 520 miles or 2 hours and 55 minutes. We've used 2 gallons of gas, got 160 gallon remaining. This is our fuel flow. So that's real handy when you're flying on VA Financials or something. You want to know what your fuel usage is. I normally have this on a separate window, so because I like to fly outside the plane sometimes so I can look around, you know, and see the scenery. So I'm going to get turned around here and lined up for an approach back at Topeka.
Buddy joined your channel.
Okay, we're back here. We're lined up on the KFOE. So what we want to do with our SALS gauge is find KFOE on here, which is right here. Hit enter, and we're on this runway. We hit enter. Okay, when these are lined up perfectly, that means we're lined up straight with the runway. And this shows if we're above or below the glide slope. This little line right here. So you can see we're below the glide slope where we should be. And as we get off to the right of the runway, you'll notice this is showing us that we need to come back left just a little bit. So let's move left here a little. We're starting to fly into our glide slope right now. You see it's starting to come down. this little number right here starting to come down. So we want to slow it down a little. Now we're lined up, we're right on the glide slope. If we can start following it down. I'm going to decrease my airspeed a little. Now the glide slope is under us a little, so we want to go ahead and drop a little more. I'm going to put in a notch of flaps. I'm getting the plane slowed down here pretty good. I'll go ahead and put the gear down. We're following the glide slope down pretty good, and we're staying lined up with the runway pretty well. Need to come to the right just a hair. Alright, that's looking pretty nice. And you can see if you keep the plane up just a little bit too much. Let me just, looks like the glide slope is just above us, just a hair, so I'm gonna kind of level out a little bit so I can get back on the glide slope. And you can tell if we start getting above the glide slope, I'll keep it flying level here, you'll see that our indicator is starting to drop down below the center position. So we need to come back down a little. See if it was real foggy or something, why this would help you get lined up on an ILS approach, even if there was no ILS. I'm going to leave the flaps where they are. I'm going to get the plane slowed down here just a little bit more. Oh, our glide slope is dropping down. Now it says when that red comes up at the bottom of that SALS gauge, that's telling me that we're getting too close, that we're on our own. And you can see I'm off the center line of the runway just a little bit. And now I can cut power and bring her in for a landing. So you can see I've got the gauges. It's taken me a while to put these gauges together, but I've got these together that I like to have when I'm flying. And for me, it makes, when I'm getting into a new plane, it makes it easier to get some things done until I find all the gauges and all the switches and everything that I need in the plane. Anyway, that's what I like to use. And thanks for watching.